And we are live. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Rise and React Media Spotlight. And tonight, we are going to put the spotlight on mental health because mental health matters. It's actually Mental Health Monday, which is great. So mental health awareness is the big deal. Everybody knows, as always, I just started a podcast called Fighting for Overtime. This is a little different. This is a different fight, right? We all have fight. We all have demons. We all have family, things that we deal with. And this story, honestly, was very, very moving to me. I spent an hour on the phone with this guest, and I was moved. And I want to thank obviously Damon Feldman of Celebrity Boxing for continuing to get this together. And let me just introduce you right now. Again, this is Angela Cottone of Celebrity Boxing. She's an advocate, a mother, a dedicated champion for mental health awareness. Following the loss of her son, she's committed herself to fostering conversations around mental health and supporting individuals in their journey towards healing and resilience. Through her advocacy efforts, Cottone continues to inspire and drive positive change in communities worldwide. I'm so happy to have her because, again, she steps in the ring for mental health awareness and honors her son's enduring legacy. And that's June 8th, 7 p.m. live at the Showboat in AC, War at the Shore. Before we give it anything, Angela, it's a big introduction. I appreciate you giving us the time, and welcome to the Rise and React Media Spotlight.
Hi, Tony. Thank you. Thank you so much again for having me on the show. I'm really excited to get this word out and to help others and fulfill my son's wishes to help others. So I really appreciate, you doing this and helping me get the word out.
Yeah, listen, and again, I appreciate you being able to come and help and explain and be able to share your message and share your story. And that's most important because we all say this all the time. We all have a story to tell. Everybody has a story, but not a lot of us are willing to share it. And that's not a bad thing. Some people, they're not strong enough. And listen, it's been a little while. So maybe you weren't in the beginning, but now you are. And I think it's a big credit to you. And again, going across the bottom of the screen, make sure you follow #1 at Celebrity Boxing, official celebrityboxing.com, so you can get those tickets for the June 8th event. And obviously, code word is Angie, Angie, all capital letters. You'll see it going across the bottom of the screen. Any information you can reach out to myself, you can reach out to Angie, and we'll continue to help you on your way. But let me just ask you this to get started. As an inspirational journey, what inspired you to participate in this match 10 years later for mental health awareness after being out of the ring for so long?
So Damon and I have been friends for a really long time, since I did my other match against Tan Mom, this was 10 years ago at this point. And he's been with me through everything that I went through and the Celebrity Boxing family. And he was just there through it all. He really listened to me a lot. He'd call and check on me. And so when he called and asked if I wanted to get in the ring again, I was like, yeah, I would love to. But, this time, I wanted to do it for a purpose. During this whole time of being friends with him and working with him on many projects that we've done together, I had lost my son to suicide in August. It was August 17th, 2021. And, I wanted to fulfill his wishes. He asked if we could help others that struggled like him. So when Damon presented me with the opportunity to get back in the ring, I thought this would be a way to fulfill that wish for him. And Damon was totally for it. He was like, you know what, this is great. We can do this. And I'm so excited that he and the rest of the Celebrity Boxing family, everybody's just so supportive, and we're ready to fight, and we're making this our purpose. And as hard as it is, and as times I just don't even want to talk, or I don't want to answer the phone, but I'm like, you know what, my son, I know right now he's so happy that we're fulfilling this wish. I know that he's thanking me from heaven, saying thanks, Mom. I know that, and he appreciates it. So I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it for him and for everybody else to help other people.
Yeah. And listen, and that's why it's such a moving story, because you're able to now, and it's never going to be. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but there's never really going to be closure, right? When you deal with a dramatic event like you have, I don't really think you ever get closure, but at least you get a better sense of kind of, like you said, these you're fulfilling what he wanted to do. I spent a while on the phone with you, and that's the first thing you told me was, at that time, he always said he wanted to help. He wanted to, show people, the right way, continue down the right path, and talk about the mistakes that he made, and you're doing that right now for him. I mean, that's got to be powerful in itself.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's not easy, right? It's not easy. Now, I don't know, it's up to you how profiled you want to get, but could you share with the audience, kind of like a summary of the story that led up to your son's wish for you to be an advocate for mental health awareness?
Yeah. My son, was a beautiful boy. He had a very nice, loving family and life. He was a good kid, and he went through some struggles. I was a single mom, and I just feel like he always felt like that void. When he was around 10 years old, he started having, I think, like these anxiety attacks, and we weren't really sure what happened. I don't know if he went through like a mental breakdown at that point. He was young, so I spent a couple weeks in CHOP with him. I told my job, like, I'm not coming back until I know what's wrong with my kid. All I know that every couple minutes, his heart rate's going up. He's screaming that he doesn't want to die. And I don't know. So I literally slept on benches. I didn't eat for weeks. I didn't know what was going on with this kid. Meanwhile, through his childhood, he did really well for the most part. And then he hit like his teenage years, and he went through some rough patches, again, dealing with the fact that, his dad wasn't really around a lot, and he wanted him to be part of his life, and we were trying. And I don't know if that's what it was. I can't really pinpoint what caused his insecurities and social anxiety. I mean, could have just been like a brain thing, he was very, very sensitive. Just, anything that you said, like, or people did, like, oh, I don't know if he likes me. I don't think he would just worry like a lot. More than like, I think like the normal person. So he went through a phase where he went through, got the bad group of friends, started like self-medicating himself because he said like he always felt better. He got more comfortable around people if he was like, messed up on like alcohol or whatever, like whatever drug, so he smoked weed a lot. But he was so fun, like such a great person, so much fun, always the life of the party. But somewhere deep inside, he was lost, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. I had years of like, trying to make things work, a couple of like bad relationships. And through the whole thing, like it was always me and my boys. I have another son who's 17. And we were just always like the threesome together, no matter what was going on otherwise. So he tried really, really hard. He would go up and down with like in and out of like the drug use phase. He was a teenager. So, I was battling, trying to be the single mom, trying to make sure he was doing what he had to do. And then I had a little one. And so he just really gave me a run for my money. And at around like 16, he was like, you know what? I'm going to live with dad. And I'm like, okay, I need a break anyway. Like I was like, let him handle you for a little bit, because I'm like, I don't know what to do at this point, and anybody that has teenagers knows that even when you have a spouse or whatever, it's just, man, some of those kids at that age, they're tough. Yeah. We were from an area that like, there's, like drug usage is pretty normal. I mean, I guess that's everywhere, honestly, now, but you just pray that, your kids, like I always stayed on top of him. I'm like, don't do drugs. Don't. He played travel ice hockey. He wasn't like, one of those kids that sat at home and didn't have a life. Like, we were traveling to Canada and Lake Placid, and, he was a great kid, great personality. People like loved him. Adults like would always say like how much, what a nice kid he was and how respectful. Just if you knew Vincent, it was like super cool. Like he just was such a great personality. But inside, he just never felt like enough. He always felt like he wasn't enough for people. He wasn't good enough. And he was always really hard on himself. Anytime he would mess up or like relapse or whatever, it wasn't okay with him because he didn't want to be that person. He wanted to be a good role model for his brother, and he struggled with the fact that he couldn't get himself clean for long, and then he would fall back. So it just was an everyday struggle, and we had so many conversations and talks, and I would try to help him with, things to do, like, all right, like, we'd work out and like, all right, we're going to do meditation. And, he, even when he was in homes and stuff, like if he was in like a recovery house, I'd be like, all right, bud, like, are you reading books? And like, did you get your workout in today? And so he really, really, really tried, like everything I told him like to do, he would try. So, what led up to this point was towards the end, during like COVID and stuff. I really couldn't see him much at that point. He was living at home. He only lived with his dad for like a little bit, and then I knew he would end up coming back home. So then he came back home, and then around like I guess 19, again, he was like starting up, and I'm like, listen, you can't be here if you're going to do things that aren't appropriate. Like I have another boy in the house, like, and I'm not okay with that. You're an adult now. You've finished high school and welding school. Like, you can't be here, So my mom was like, he can stay here. I'll let him get himself together. And I'm like, okay. So then during COVID, it was hard because I couldn't really see him. We talk on the phone still. And to me, he was doing well. He's never going to tell me like, Mom, I'm fucking up again, or Mom, oh, am I allowed to say that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, listen, there's no
so sorry. So like, he wasn't going to tell me that stuff, and he was dating this girl, and apparently had gotten into a group that wasn't doing well, and I could tell because as soon as he started to change like his style, like you could always tell when they're like going the other way again. And I just had like a bad feeling, and he had a really good friend that I knew was good for him. And I'd say, have you talked to so-and-so today? Or have you talked to him recently? And he'd be like, oh, we're not talking right now. And I'm like, oh, probably because, you're back to your ways, and your good friend does not want to be involved with that. So that's how I knew something was a little off. So I would just keep reminding him, like, do well. Well, apparently during that time when I couldn't really get to him, they had started doing meth. And anybody that knows that drug, I had to study it because I had no idea what was going on. He started acting differently. And my son was always very, very nice to me, always like respectful to me. And especially like, like when we would talk and stuff. And so I knew that he was acting different, and I'm like, what is this about? Why are you talking weird? And then when he actually could come here, he started acting weird again. And so I knew something was off, and that's when he got really bad, because that stuff changes like the chemicals of your brain, and it makes them get like this weird God complex, which I had to read all about that too. So then he would get better for a little bit, because once it's out of your system, you get better. And then he was trying, and he's like, all right, Mom. And we got him in like one place, and then he didn't want to be in that place. And I'm like, I was going to anybody to get help. I'm like, okay, let me call here, let me call here. And then, do they take your insurance? And, for a single mom that's trying to raise one kid, and then you got this other kid with problems, like it's hard enough to be a single mom, period. But then you're dealing with all this. Mind you, I was working 2 jobs. So I'm like at day, and then I'm at a restaurant all night. And I'm just making phone calls in between, trying not to lose my jobs because I have bills to pay and another child to feed and take care of. At this point, I've got family members trying to help. But again, nobody wants to get like real involved, because everybody's kind of like, oh, sticky situation, not really sure about this, but there was a lot of people that really, or a couple people that really did help at the end and came through. And we all tried to talk to Vincent and Damon and James Salvey from Celebrity Boxing. We had a phone call towards the end of Vincent's life, and we sat and we talked and we discussed that we would get him into like a halfway house. That would be like the best thing for him at that point, because he still wanted to live. He still wanted to have a job. He still wanted to like be able to live. He didn't want to be like, locked in a place. So
Right.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep going? Because I can let you jump in at any point.
Well, listen, I mean, you're doing so well. So I was just
Okay.
what I do want to say is, before you get to, just so everybody knows, and I know you'll agree with this, and I think this is very important, because there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this story that are going through the same thing or have gone through the same thing. And you said a few things that I think really should hit home to everybody. You talked about finishing school. You talked about welding school. You talked about holding it up. This kid wasn't, just sitting around doing nothing. And I think it's very important for people to understand, like, he was living a normal life. It's not like, you weren't giving him what he needed. It's not like he didn't have anything. I mean, people go down paths sometimes that we can't control. And I think that's extremely important. So you don't just have to look at somebody and be like, oh, you know what? They're trash. They're not doing anything with their life. And he was. And I think that, and I do say this wholeheartedly. You say single mom a lot. And I think that's a big credit to you, because, don't put yourself down, because everything that you're saying, you fought hard. It's not like you fought hard and did everything that you could do. So I just think that's a huge message for people that are listening, because I know people are thinking in their mind like, hey, you know what? I don't have to worry because my kid's doing this, or my kid. Maybe you still need to be involved, because you just never know. You just never know, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you think you're doing everything. I mean, I was that mother. I was that pain in the butt mom. Let me talk to the mom. Whose house are you at? And he would say to me, "You're too overprotective. You're too," and I'm like, and that's right. And I'll be overprotective, and I'm going to, I'm going to keep doing that. And it's funny you say that, because you have to be with the kids today. You have to be. And I honestly was that pain in the butt mom. I was checking every house. Let me talk to the mom that's there. I want to know that somebody's there. So I was doing, what I felt was right. And like I said, at some point when you're going through this, and I know a lot of people can relate to children and family members that are on substances and stuff, it gets so exhausting. I work a job. I do surgery. I'm on my feet all day long. Then I was at the restaurant all night long. Meanwhile, I'm talking to him. I'm trying to keep him safe, keep him off the street. It is a 24/7 job. At nights, you're up. You don't sleep, because you don't know when you're going to get like that phone call. So.
I mean, listen, you're right. I mean, you're doing everything in your power, right? And I keep saying that, and I want to hit that home, because I don't want people to lose sight of that, because this is a never-ending battle, right? It's you never gave up. You still don't give up. I mean, listen, you're going into a ring now, because this is what he wanted, and you're trying to stop this, or at least bring the light to people that are going through this, to show them that it's okay to not be okay. We talk about that all the time, right? It's okay, and
right. It's okay.
Right. So, no, you're absolutely right, and that's one of the biggest things about this is, you continue to fight, you continue to do, and it does work on you like no other. It really does.
Yep. And the thing is, like, he fought, Tony. He fought. He really didn't want to be that person. He tried so hard. And that's why I always say, like, you fought a battle, Vin, that I could never even try to fight. Like, I can't even come close to how hard that kid fought. And finally, he couldn't fight anymore, and he didn't want to be a burden anymore, and he didn't want to be, something that he felt like, he knew everybody was trying, and he knew everybody was working so hard, and he just felt like he couldn't, and he just wanted to make it easier on everybody. That's what I feel like anyway, my personal opinion. Because towards the end, we had a lot of conversations. I'll say this. So when we got him into that halfway house after I talked to Damon and stuff, and he was back to himself. The drugs had been out of his system for a while. He was working a really good job. He loved this job. He called me every day, 2 to 3 times a day. Hey, Mom. Hey, Madre. That's what he'd say to me. How you doing? And it felt so good to hear the happiness in his voice again. And at that point, I thought, we got him back. We're good. He's on a roll. We were talking about getting him an apartment, and he wanted to stay near where he was, which was like 20 minutes away from me, because he loved this new job so much. So he was finally working a good job for a little bit, and he was reading a lot of books, he said, and he just was finally there. And we all thought like, oh, this is it, and it didn't happen for him. And I'm just, the conversations at the end, were like, it was weird because he was reminiscing with me a lot. And he was just like, I just want to go back and start over. I just want to go back to my childhood and just start over and fix everything. And he couldn't, and he was reliving and all his memories, and he was saying to me like, hey, Mom, remember when we did this? Or, I really loved that one house we lived in. And like, I could tell in his head he was reliving like all the happy times, and he just wanted to get back to that, but he knew that he was struggling to get back to that,
It's tough. It's not easy, right?
It is.
It's and again, I honestly I don't have a personal connection with it, but just I've done a lot of research, and just knowing that, like you said, he wanted to do something. The problem is, just so everybody knows, it's you don't just sometimes by mistake you become hooked on something. By me, it doesn't have to mean you don't have to gravitate towards it. I mean, listen, sometimes look, maybe you do something here or there, and the drug that you're taking, is misguided, and maybe it's mistaken, and you get hooked. Maybe you get hooked on painkillers. Maybe there's all different kinds of things, and it's not like they give up. I mean, he had a supporting cast. You did everything you could. You could tell that he wanted to do it too, but sometimes those gases and those chemical imbalances, they take over, and no matter how hard you try, it's unfortunate, but it's not for lack of effort, is what I'm saying. It's not for lack of effort. Definitely not. Definitely not. And again, we're speaking to Angela Cottone right here, getting into the ring 10 years later for celebrity boxing for Damon Feldman. And, at War at the Shore, June 8th at the Showboat. You can get the tickets right here. War at the Shore on the bottom, official celebrityboxing.com, code word Angie. And speaking of getting into that, let me ask you this, your mindset going into this, because obviously you're stepping into a ring and you're fighting in his name, in his honor. You're doing what he wanted, and you're doing it for him, but you're also fighting for everybody as a whole who is trying to battle, every single mom, every family, everybody who has the same issue. I mean, how does that feel? Does are you nervous, or in the same way, are you excited to be able to do this, for him and for them as well?
Well, naturally, I think all of us getting in a boxing ring, we get a little nervous. I think,
Okay.
you know,
That's
nobody
true. That's
nobody
true.
goes in there like, well, I lie. It's been 10 years. I'm a little older. Um, I'm I'm a little nervous just because of that, but at the same time, um, I'm very driven and very excited to fulfill this wish and to help other people. He asked me, I told you before that he had asked me at the end, like, Mom, I really just want to help other people like me. He really wanted to become a counselor and be able to counsel people. And I told him that I would do that with him. And I'm dead set on, like honoring his wishes. And I know that right now, he's just so thankful and he's so happy that we're doing this. And because I believe that he is going to be here with us and he is going to be in this journey helping other people. He will be right there. And I've already got people reaching out and saying thank you. People that have already extended their thanks for, like, helping me. You really made me change my mind today. And I'm like, wow, like that's what this is about. Like, I really hope that, we can help other people and other families going through this. You're not alone. You know, it's, it's more common than you think, that people are dealing with this, but you just don't know because people are just so afraid to talk about it, or you don't really understand what's going on while you're going through it. I feel like while we were going through it, you're just so busy in this battle. You're going through it, but you don't even understand what you're going through. So if there's anybody that we can just help and help get help, there's the hotline now. I know that some people don't even know it's 988. It's a hotline that you can call. And at that moment, when you feel that low, call that number. They will talk to you. If you don't have anybody, if you don't have family or friends, like that is a huge thing. I'm surprised that people don't know about it, but I guess if some people just don't know.
I didn't
And
know. Yeah, I had
yeah,
no idea.
yeah, like you used to have to dial like a 1-800 number or something. Like when somebody is in crisis, they're not going to look up a 1-800 number. But to have those 3 digits now, like I'm so glad that they've finally made this a lot easier because, like I said, for some of us, we have family that we can call, or some of us don't want to talk to family, they're embarrassed to talk to family, or they feel like they don't want to burden anybody. Well, that's okay. You can call that number and they will listen, and nobody has to know your problems specifically. Like it's just anonymous. So but
Great
yeah,
thing.
anybody that we can help, I just really hope that this helps some people. And that's why I'm getting in the ring, and I will fight for everybody else. I'll do whatever I can. Because going through this is it's heartbreaking and it's hard. And if I can save a family or somebody from going through it, I'll do it.
And that's it's extremely powerful because I've had my own. I just started a podcast called Fighting for Overtime, and it's about youth. It's about youth sports, and it's about people that have been put in situations that they were afraid to speak out on, personal situations that happened with me. And the same thing that happened with me when I started to do it. People would reach out to me and be like, "Oh, thank you so much. I didn't know I was the only one. It shows and it makes them feel good. It gives it gives them a voice and it allows you to be the voice. And it is powerful. And that's what I think is so great about this, because the more people that do this, the more people can say that they're not alone. Right. And again, it is a story that will drive you into many different areas of life. And, if you wanted to convey one message to people struggling with not just this, but any kind of mental health challenges whatsoever. As far, how did you cope? Like what? And again, I know it was tough and it was busy, like you mentioned. But if you could give any word of advice to anybody out there that's dealing with this right now, what would be one of the most important things that they could do?
Um, I guess, like, if you're going through this, I think that talking to people, I mean, having a support system yourself, If you don't have family, if you have friends, if not, there's groups that you can join. There's groups online, there's groups on social media. I feel like the best thing to do is to get some support, because when you're going through this, you start having your own issues because you're trying to cope. And I think that is what got me through the whole thing. Is I had a really good family, I have a really good work family and friends, and I just had a lot of people helping me out that way. And my son, my younger son, thank God for him. I really looked to him for strength to keep us going, and knowing that their relationship was so beautiful, such a, as brothers. And you just have to find strength in other things, that, positive things. And honestly, at that point, you really don't have any other choice but to fight to get through it. It's either you just crumble or you push through. A lot of what I do personally is I work out a lot, I train, that keeps me focused, and it helps get out anything that I need to get out. I take a lot of quiet time to myself. I talk to my son. You need alone time too, to do things for yourself. Sit in, I don't know, a tub at night and just clear everything, whatever you need to do. Just, there are coping mechanisms that you can do, meditation. But I think the biggest thing is to have support, and to have people. Yeah.
Support cannot be underestimated. And what you just said about giving yourself time, I full transparency, went through my own mental health struggles over the last couple of years, saw a therapist, still see a therapist to this day. And when I had my intro with the therapist, and I'm sure you could probably relate to this, the first thing that she said to me when she was asking me what was going on, I told her, she said, Tony, I understand everything you're saying, but the only thing I didn't hear yet is the word you. I said, what are you talking about? She's like, you are so involved in doing everything for everybody else, but you're never taking any time for you. She's like, so if you don't do that, you burn out. Who's there to take care of them? And it kind of hit me. And I was like, okay, well, so, and I start doing the same thing like you said, even if it's 20 minutes a day, even if it's just sitting in a chair, sometimes I'll go to a Starbucks and just by myself, just because I want to just get a drink on my own. I go in my backyard. Sounds crazy. I talk to the birds. I have a cardinal that I symbolizes my mother-in-law who passed away from COVID, that I swear is always her. I go outside and she's on the wire, she's on the fence, and I literally have a conversation, and it makes me feel great. And it's like, I need that. And I think more and more people need that. And I think that's a huge message. Now, before we get out of here, let me at least talk about a little bit real quick about the event. And, and what I mean by that is your training. I think, because let's be honest, like you said, I mean, it's been 10 years and people think you're just going to step in a ring and it's okay, right? They don't understand. I don't think they followed your Instagram and saw the guns that you're throwing out there either, man. I'll be honest. I was like, oh, okay, I see it, right? I see it, right? So what goes into, from the time you decide to do this match, the training, how much training goes into getting in this ring?
So I train usually every day. Sometimes I'll give myself a day off a week. And now that I'm getting back in the ring, it's a little more extensive. And my son goes with me sometimes. So, but the nights that I go alone, I'll do my regular workout, but then I get on the bag for a while. And again, I'm building up some more endurance because, when you get in the ring, it's a little bit more than, just lifting weights and, I'm just practicing my combinations and stuff like that. Just trying to get back into all the things I've learned from when I trained before with Alex Barbosa. He's a pro boxer. So I'm just familiarizing myself with the bag and just all that kind of stuff. So yes, I do my regular training, which is like a split. So I do like a body part or two body parts a night. And then after that, then I go into the boxing part. And, I just keep going until I'm drenched. and I feel satisfied that I did enough. So,
Hey,
so
listen,
what
that's
it
got to
is.
help your mindset too, right? Hitting that bag and
Oh,
getting those frustrations out, right?
it really does. Because at first, like I was like, oh, I'm a little winded. But I'll tell you, like the more I get on it, I love it. I grew up with like a boxing bag like that hanging in my basement because my dad had a gym. So like, I was always hitting the bag. And then I grew up teaching kickboxing. And so I've always done like that kind of stuff. I've always been into training and stuff. I was a personal trainer for a while and stuff. And I just love it. And there's just nothing like hitting the bag. Like, so now that I'm like back into it, yeah, I'm like, the other night I didn't want to stop and go home, but I'm like, okay, I got to go home.
Yeah,
So yeah, so
absolutely.
that's what it is. And so that'll be till we get in that ring. So
Yeah, we're only about a month and a couple weeks away, right? I mean,
wow.
yeah, it's coming quick again at the Showboat, June 8th. War at the show. I love the name War to Shore.
Yeah, it's
It's
a really good
great.
one.
And if you want to see Angie's guns, all you have to do is go follow her at Angie Cottone Music on Instagram. You're going to see a picture of her throwing her guns up. And before we go, what about? I do want to end on this because you did say something very very great. And it's in what the press release, and you have one of those match tattoos for your son, right? That you have, correct?
I'm sorry, what was it? What did you
I said you remember you had mentioned to me about you have a special tattoo for your
I
son,
do.
correct?
I
Yeah.
do. I have a couple. So we both got Forza on our arms, and that means strength, force in Italian. So when we were going through all of this, we both got that. He had gotten Speranza, so I made sure that I followed through because I was supposed to get that to catch up to him. And then this one on my arm, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this one is I love you to the moon and back. And it's his actual signature,
I
and
love
it's
that.
his hockey number, his ice hockey number 19. So I would always tell him, and his brother, I love you to the moon and back. So I will continue to cover myself with things there were so many sayings that we had and
Yep.
stuff
Yep.
like that, little quirky things when we would talk. And so I will continue to add to,
Love it.
but
Love it.
yeah,
And that's just not only in spirit. Listen, through your body will be in the ring with you on June 8th. So listen, Angie, I really, I can't thank you enough. I know it's not easy. You've been making your rounds here and there. You've done a lot. You spent an hour with me on the phone, heartfelt conversation, which I enjoyed. I love this. And I know people are going to watch this, and I know we are going to reach people that are going to listen to this and be like, okay, maybe they take a little bit of a breath and say, it's not just me. Okay, maybe I am doing everything I can. Maybe listen, a 988 number again. We put it up there. Call if you need assistance. I didn't know that. Maybe somebody watches. If we can help one person, that is we obviously want to help more, but if we just want to reach people, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing about this. What I would say is before we get out of here, any final words you want to say to the audience before you get, whether it be about your son, whether it be about celebrity boxing, whether it be about the ring, the floor is yours.
um, I just want to thank everybody, anybody that streams or comes out, like really appreciate it. I really hope that we can help anybody. If there's any way that we can help and you want to reach out, you can DM me if you want. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But I want to thank Damon and thank you and thank everybody that's helping and that's reaching out and that's part of this. And I just want to tell everybody that, you are loved. You are not alone. Like Damon said, nobody fights alone, and we're all in this together. Never feel ashamed, and that's it. And I pray for everybody, and I just want to thank everybody again.
And I want to thank you as well. And again, everything you said, I ditto that 100%. Shout out, thanks again, Damon Feldman, for helping put this together, for putting this mental health matters awareness on, for putting on the event to highlight this. And thank everybody for tuning in. Again, you can tune in even afterwards. The comments, we will get them. You can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Angie. But most importantly, get to the fight, stream it, enjoy it. You are going to be a part. You get to the fight, you're a part of the fight, you're a part of the journey as well. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Everybody have a fantastic week.